Well, the Linux experiment made a video in which he says that he has lost trust in Mozilla and is therefore abandoning Firefox and Thunderbird or any other Mozilla product. This is a legitimate take, which I can't argue with. You do you. However, I find that the argument he made to support his claim are quite misleading. I want to go through them. Firstly, his criticism of the new Mozilla Terms of Service, and I quote verbatim, is that the vague wording also does mean that Firefox has access to everything that you type inside the browser and potentially anything you upload through it. To which my simple answer would be no shit. Like, Firefox has always had access to everything that you typed or did in the browser, just like any application has access to everything you do using it. Of course, the key difference is that now Mozilla has a license to that data, not just access. Look, I'm nitpicking, but it's actually an important distinction. The idea here is that the license is required for Firefox to use the data that you're submitting, like the URL you want to visit. Other browsers do that too, like Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. The word text processor also has that. Safari has similar wording, and so on. As the CEO of Epic Software claims, there has been likely an internal legal review of the current Firefox privacy document, and it turned out that this line should have been there already, but it wasn't, so they rushed to add it. But this does not change what Mozilla can do with your data. Before this, they could access all of your data and share it around according to their privacy policy. Now, they can still access all of your data and still share it around according to their privacy policy. Nothing changed. He also complained that the terms of use can change anytime without your explicit consent. But again, the same applied previously. We did not have the terms of use, but the usage of your personal information was contained in a privacy notice, which again could have changed anytime, and it did, as we've seen. What also did not change is the fact that Mozilla has advertisement partnerships for the new tab page and the search bar. It collects some aggregate information specifically about your interaction with those ads, and that aggregate information is shared with the advertiser. They've been doing that for years. What you saw on screen is the old privacy policy, not the new one. Again, most likely following some review of the legal documents, it turns out that this practice is technically considered selling user data in some jurisdictions. Thus, they had to rush to remove the "we don't sell your data" promise from the website. Now, here Nick says that, again I quote, "Except that's also a really weird justification because first, you're not supposed to collect any personal information up to that point. That's why you introduced the terms of service to have the right to collect and access your data. So you previously wouldn't be affected by any definition of selling because you didn't have anything to sell." This is wrong. He is saying now that the terms of use have been introduced, and now that they have the license, they're collecting and selling your data. So they had to remove their "we don't sell your data" promise. This is not what happened. They are doing exactly what they have been doing for years, collecting and sharing aggregated data about advertisement interaction. The privacy policy already told you that. Here's the same image as before to reiterate the point. Simply, they now realized that they can't legally do this and at the same time say that they don't sell your data. Now it begins the sketchy, in my opinion, part of the video. Nick points out that AI needs data to be trained on, which fair enough it does. He also points out that Mozilla is trying to generate revenue by developing privacy-respecting AI, which fair enough they are. And through what becomes very wild speculation, he claims that the terms of use are the first step to harvesting all Firefox users' data to train AI, which is something that does not have any evidence or even hints that this might happen. Do the new terms of service allow for AI training or similar? No, they don't, as they still have to follow their privacy policy. Does the new privacy policy allow for AI training? No, it doesn't, as it says that none of your personal data, your page content, files you upload, what you type on page and so on, is uploaded anywhere, not even for ads. Do the new privacy policy or terms of use make it easier to have your data used for training later on? Also no, that had always been up to the privacy policy, which always could have been changed like that. If this is a first step to sell your data, it's a completely unnecessary step that does not get them any closer to their goal. Nick claims that in the future some kind of AI could be integrated within Firefox itself. He makes the example of Orbit, an extension by Mozilla that implements some AI functionalities like summarizing documents in the browser. He says, one day this might become integrated within the browser and then they will use your data for training or something. This is where I think it becomes clear just how truck he is, I think. Let's talk about Orbit for a second. Mozilla tried its best to implement Orbit in the most privacy-respecting way possible. It does not send your data to any of the big AI players out there, but rather it uses a Mozilla-hosted MyStrial instance, which is open-weight, does not collect any information about the model input after working with it, and in no way contributes to the training of any model, let alone with your data. Unless you run a model locally, which isn't always possible, this is as privacy-aware AI as you can get. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. But some people like this kind of feature, and it's great that Firefox, or rather Mozilla, is working on a privacy-aware way of providing them. He concludes this section by saying, at that point, their terms of use will also include transparently, without you ever noticing or accepting to it by clicking a button, the fact that they are going to use that data to train an AI model or to make the AI features work, which will very likely be just Firefox just selling your browser data, maybe anonymized, maybe not to AI companies. That's exactly what the plan sounds like to me. Which again has no basis in reality whatsoever. If Firefox one day updates the privacy notice to say, hey, we now sell your data to train AI, then one, everybody will freak out, it certainly wouldn't go unnoticed, and B, they could have already done that. No need to add these terms of use. And this is even assuming that this is what they want to do with it, whereas everything Mozilla has done so far is the opposite. They're working on locally running AI to avoiding giving your data to other parties. They worked with AI companies to allow artists to opt out from AI training and so on. There's just one thing that Firefox is doing and that we don't like. They are collecting interaction with data with ads on the search bar and new tab and sharing that data with advertisers. They were doing that already, they are doing that now, and you might rightfully dislike that. It might be an opt-out feature, I don't remember, but nonetheless, to think that this is all part of a big plan to harvest your data and sell them to AI companies is completely absurd right now. Now, I'm using some strong language here, but if you follow my channel, you know that I have the utmost respect for Nick. He says that given Mozilla's past, we should no longer give them the benefit of the doubt. Fair. But here we are gone like all the way to a complete assumption of bad faith, assuming the scenario where Mozilla is the most evil instead of the most likely one. As another example, Nick here says that Mozilla is beginning to act like a for-profit. And I think it's important to remind everybody that the company that develops Firefox is a for-profit. It is. The Mozilla non-profit organization is a different entity with different goals, different organization, and working on different things. Sure, the former is a subsidiary of the latter, but they are nonetheless different entities, and the former is still a for-profit company. I trust the for-profit Firefox company as much as I trust any other for-profit that I rely on, which is very little. I use a Honor phone, but I don't particularly trust Honor, and I would ditch them instantly if they gave me any reason to. I also use a Fujifilm camera to record this, but I don't trust them either, and I will happily switch to whatever manufacturer or browser works best for me. Right now that browser is Firefox. It might not be for you, that's fine. Now Nick is switching to a fork of Firefox and is free to do that. It's a trade-off where you get maybe delayed updates in exchange for an additional set of eyes on the code. It's also a bit of a risk, if I may, as if everybody switches away from Firefox to a fork of Firefox, I'm not sure Firefox would continue development anymore, nor do I think that the forks would be able to maintain the browser on their own. Still, I'm not questioning his decision. Rather, I am, yes, heavily criticizing the reasoning that is given to more than 100,000 people. His stance feels so strong that he is also ditching Thunderbird. I believe this decision to be somewhat irrational. The company behind Thunderbird is a different one than the one that drafted these terms of use. It's led by different people. They've already said that they will not adopt a similar legal language. Thunderbird is an extremely cool and community-driven project, and I would hate for people to associate that with whatever Mozilla is doing for no reason, except, of course, Thunderbird being a subsidiary of Mozilla. I could go more in detail into the new terms of use, but I've already done that last week. You can just check the video. I could also go more into detail about some specific claims, such as the fact that they paid their CEO too much money. I don't think that's the case, but I have already talked about it a few weeks ago, so let's not repeat myself here. However, all of this leads directly to the most important question of the video, which I received on the last video as well, which is, how much did Mozilla pay me for this video? Well, sadly, their check bounced and they are ghosting me, so it looks like I won't receive the money they promised me. This puts me in a tough spot, since the cost of running this channel, from servers to equipment to contractors, is actually double the current income, so I'm kind of running on a deficit like governments. If you could support economically the making of these videos, it would mean a lot to me. Links are in the video description. And Nick, I'm not saying this to hate on you or anything, to be clear. I just wanted to criticize some of the reasoning. We're still friends.